Hey, 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 yeah, hey, what a time to be alive. I left them for dead, now I'm living right. No new friends, no new advice. That was high then, but we got bigger heights. We got bigger fish to fry. Bet on myself, then I roll the dice. Man, it ain't a gamble if you know you nice.
All right, welcome back to Dalton Dream Podcast. I'm your host, R. Amen. This is the #1 podcast in Dallas, and I got my returning marketing director. Senior marketing director. And you just had a breakthrough month.
Yeah, I think last time you saw me, I was at 100. Now I'm at 250. Fun.
No, you were okay. So you had 100 last time, and you just hit 100 in 1 month.
100 in 1 month. Yeah.
Okay, what industry do you think, other than insurance, can do that?
100 in a month.
And how long you been doing this?
2.5 years. So
in 2.5 years, you went from 0 to making 100,000. 100,000 in 1 month. Like sometimes it's. I was talking to Sika the other day, and I'm like, he just hit 100,000 in 1 month, and we're not even like flinching.
No.
Like it's like
no.
That's so crazy.
Noble. I was talking with Matt Sapola, and I was like, what's crazy is in any other industry, if you probably did 100K in a month, you're probably like the top person at the office. 100K in a month in the office, you're still like number 2 or 3. You're like, oh man, I still have work to go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like doing 100K in a month. You know what the craziest part that hit me? If you do it like 10 more times, you're a millionaire.
Man, and you just did it once.
Yep. And I'm on track to do it again this month. I'll be at 35, 40 this week, and I have like 70, 80 piped.
Man, so you're about to do it again?
Yeah. Yep. Kind of freaked out about it.
Yeah.
Because, it's like I was having a conversation with somebody, one of the guys at the office, and I said, your life starts to change, and, like, you're in the middle of it, and it's, like, kind of, like, weird. It's, like, you see, like, that happening, you're like, oh, wait, if I do this again, like, and then again and again, like, you're changing, it's kind of weird, like, being in the middle of it. Like, a lot of times we talk about the beginning part and then, like, where you're at right now, but we never talk about how it feels in the midst of it, you know what I mean? So.
And you're in the middle of it right now.
Yeah.
What's the biggest change that you're like feeling, that you like feel internally, that like what's going on in your head, what's going on in your heart?
To be honest, man, seeing my wife, a lot of times even when you're making a decent income, sometimes you're still in like the budget stage. Like, and when I say budget, you're like, oh, I got to do this. I can't spend this. It's not that she splurges or anything, but she's like a little bit more at ease on certain things she's pays for. You know what I mean? Like, grocery shopping isn't like I gotta watch and be like at this moment. It's like, no, let me get the healthier option because it's better for my family and I can afford it. And then she walks like a little bit more lighter. You know what I mean? Like it's
really,
like everything's lighter. It's not like so much like feeling like your back is against the wall. You know what I mean? You're still not like you're not at a million, but you're like at least you're starting to feel like, okay, I can breathe a little bit. You know what? I don't mind paying for this because I can. You know what I mean? It's a little different. Yep.
So it's not even. You don't. I'm not taking away that you don't feel anything. You notice your wife feel different, so you don't feel any different.
Nah, it's crazy. Not from a cocky standpoint or anything. It's like, man, when you're working hard, like when you're legitimately working hard at something, and then it starts to like flourish and the fruits of your labor, you're like, man, like I understand why I was like staying up late, why I did like the phone call, like why I did everything I did. Like this is rewarding. Like I feel. If you want me to ask how I feel like. Not like I'm not gonna say I'm supposed to be here like most people are gonna say. I'm gonna literally be legitimate honest with you and tell you like, bro, I literally feel like, man, like I feel good for the hard work I put in because I'm finally seeing what it looks like to like win on the other side, And like sometimes you hear people sell you the dream and you're like, I see why they talk the way they talk. I see why they act the way they act. It's like, bro, you feel good. Yeah.
I see. Man, that's something I notice as well. It's like we see the people like the millionaires in our office and they just walk different. Yeah. And they don't have like they're happy.
They're happy. They're light.
It's so crazy.
It's so different.
Because I'm going through the same journey, not at that point, but I'm in the before stage. And, we've been having record-breaking months also in different aspects. And I go up I went up to Joseph the other day, and I'm like, bro, are you happy? And I just ask him, man, because I'm like, I feel like I'm like fighting being – I don't say I'm fighting being happy. I'm trying to be happy. Yeah. And I'm like, man, I just feel like I'm not happy with like where I'm at, with what's going on, even though we're doing well. But it's just like, I'm just not. I'm not happy. Yeah. Like, but then I see like other people in the office, like the millionaires and other people that are doing well financially, like amazing financially, and I'm like, man, they look happy.
Yeah.
But I also don't want to like put myself dependent on money to be happy.
Yeah.
So it's just an interesting thing.
Well, I think people mix it up. It's not that you depend on money. It's like money make things easier for you. Like if you're driving, you have a blowout. You're like, man, I got a blowout. But if you have money, you're like, oh man, I might just get them to come pick it up and get it fixed. Like it's just like I know they act different. I was talking to Matt about this. I was like at what point were you like, I'll just pay somebody for it? He was like at $500,000 because like I was moving last month. I moved like 2 weeks ago. I moved, and initially before I had the back injury, I was like, well, I'll just get a couple guys from the office. We'll just make it move. We'll make the move happen. Sit down with my mentor Andrew, and I was like, you think I should just like pay somebody? He's like, why wouldn't you? He was like, you pay somebody $800 to come move you. They move all your furniture. They move all your items. You just save yourself 8 hours. He's like, how much money can you make in 8 hours? I was like, well, he's like, well, how was that policy? How long it took you? I was like, an hour. He was like, that was $46,000 for that one of them. I was like, yeah. He's like, so think about $1,000. What if you can make $1,000 each hour? I was like, all right, I'll just pay for the movers. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
When you think about it like that, when you really think about it in our industry, it's like, if you take 8 hours of your day and devote it to moving, you know it's not going to take 8 hours because you're not a professional, number one. You don't have all the stuff they have. You don't have the truck, the trip. Like, you don't have all the systems. It's going to take you 2 or 3 days, and now you done lost money. And it's like, wait, you start thinking different. You're like, $900, $800. Okay, I'll just shell it out. Okay, cool. I just saved myself a whole day.
Bro, I thought movers were a good idea,
Yeah.
even when I wasn't making money.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like now, after like seeing it happen, I was like, bro, why did I ever move?
Yeah.
Like, why did I move?
They have
that?
the cart,
The
and
cart,
they know exactly what they're
do.
doing.
Yeah, it was like 5-6 hours, and they were done.
Yeah, movers are a great idea. I'm in the process of like hiring a assistant, and it's like I'm so tired of the tedious work.
Yep.
To where I'm like, I don't want to be like submitting apps, doing the back office, calling carriers, because I dread that work. Administrative work. I don't want to do that.
If you want to build, you should definitely not be doing administrative work. When you at the spot where you're pouring and building other people, because that's what our business essentially is. Administrative work is taking you from time from doing that.
Yeah.
And anything that's costing you time in like writing, doing certain things that doesn't have to be done, man, get somebody to take care of it. And now that I made the income in a month and I see how I'm doing stuff, I'm like, wait, I had to reflect. It was like 2 weeks ago when I was at the hospital because the back, right? I'm sitting there, my wife's doing BOM and I'm sitting at the spot. I'm like just thinking. I was like, okay, this is a time you need to capitalize. Okay, they're doing BOM. Okay, boom. What were things that you did last month that got you here?
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't last month. I went back 3 months and it was staff. We got a placement coordinator in October, November of last year. And in January, I hired my other BSC because I had a placement, I have a BSC, and then I have a fast start coordinator. So I have 3 staff members. And I was like, oh, wait, they're all doing parts of the business that's tedious. And it just allowed me to build and be in the field. And I was like, So it really wasn't what I changed as a person. It was more of like things that was taking time for me to actually do what I needed to be doing.
Okay, how do you I know the way to hire a good assistant for each area is to basically recruit them, pour into them, have them go through the process. But like what's more than that? Because I'm in the point where it's like my team, I feel like they're all building.
Yeah.
And I don't know who to pick, and I'm trying to pick someone here, and maybe they're not as consistent, or they're showing up and not like in that administrative role. So how did you?
So you're looking at it the wrong way because anybody can do a task, right? But can you connect with everybody that's doing that task? What do I mean by that? I had to find somebody that connects with me that like I know how I can work with. Like,
okay.
So let's say for instance, if you're action driven, if you're an action type person, and you're not good at systems and structure and stuff, and you're not good at like Excel sheets
That's
and
me.
all that, okay, you need to find somebody very good in that category, right? But then they're also very good at understanding you. They know your weaknesses. Like, for instance, Kaylin, my BSC right now, I come in the other day, and she, like, literally just took my brain and, like, she, like, understands it. So I get there. she has this Celsius waiting for me or any drink waiting for me. I was like, how did you know? She was like, oh, I could tell by the way you were in the band today that like you needed like a little pick me up. I was like, cool, got it. She got that piece. Then like she sat down. She's like, hey, I found some leaks in the business that we need to plug. Okay, what are you talking about? And she doesn't say like, tell me what to do. She's like, hey, I'm going to take over this. I'm going to take this. What can I take off your plate? What can I do? What can I do? I'm like, boom, she got it. But prior to that, I told her the dream of like where we're going. I'm like, hey, look, this is not a short-term goal. Like this is long-term. I'm looking for you long-term.
Yeah.
When you find that person, when God brings that person to you, you'll know. And sometimes it takes trial and error. I mean, I'm not saying I got it right the first time. I didn't get it right the first couple of times, but you need somebody that just meshes with you, bro.
Yeah. What was the first big purchase you made? Because I obviously been making money, but when the floodgates kind of came in.
On this last rip?
Yeah.
Dude, we haven't done nothing, bro.
Okay.
It's crazy. I'm not even lying to you. My wife got membership with Milton.
Reinvesting in yourself immediately.
Man, yeah, we did that. We were already moving. We were going to move regardless or not. Like the move was done because I wanted to get closer to the office. So the move is saving me money and gas.
You were in Little Elm?
Yeah, I was in Little Elm. So now I'm in Frisco.
Okay.
I'm literally a block away from Matt. Matt's on Preston and Legacy. I'm on Lebanon and Preston.
Congrats.
So, yeah, man. What big purchase? We did one big purchase. I'm lying. Or two. Well, one was a couch. Wasn't nothing crazy, $3,000. But my wife upgraded her ring.
Okay, that's cool.
I upgraded her ring.
That's cool.
But so we did the delay. I think I talked about this before. We did the delay gratification.
Yeah.
We've been married for 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
We were going to get it done at 5 years. At 5 years, income, we could have done it, but it would have been a bad financial decision.
Yeah.
So we said, okay, when we cross 250, we'll get the ring upgrade. So we did that. Man, you're gonna laugh at me what I got. You're gonna laugh.
No, I'm not.
I got a PBD book bag. The value thing.
Oh yeah, I saw. Yeah. That's a nice bag.
That was my purchase. I told myself level 3 GB. I was like, I'll get the bag. I could have got it prior, but I was like, nah,
right.
Work for it.
Yeah.
So I did that. That was
big like a purchase, $250 bag, right? The bag's like $250.
Yeah, $250.
It's a nice bag.
Yeah. We didn't do nothing crazy, bro. We really put a lot into savings. We're thinking about IUL or annuity, with some of it. But a lot of it we just put up because we know like we're on another path. We really focus on $1 million income this year.
No, and I can tell you've been very calm the past like month.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like focused but calm.
Yep.
So I can tell you're not like.
Nah, I'm happy, man.
Yeah.
I'm excited. We got a lot of things cooking. I'm excited for where we're at right now.
What's the main thing that you're excited for this month?
Man, people not even expecting it. We're about to pop out 2 marketing directors.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's about to be crazy. And we want to, obviously this podcast, they might not know PHP Talk, but we want to flag carry for Gaines' board council run.
Mm-hmm.
One thing, and then number 2, we want to go get the VP and shock everybody in the office.
Mm.
Yeah, because when we wrap this up this month, if everything goes right, we can close out EMD this month, and the next 2 months go for a VP run.
What does flag carrying mean to you?
So for me, man, it's coming through on my word. Gave Gaines my commitment, and I want to be the first domino. I want to be the person that inside of our industry and our company of like nobility, right? I want to be the first domino. I'm the fastest to 250. Outside of Gaines and Seek, I'm the next person to get the 100K. Fastest to SMD. I want to be the fastest to every category in nobility. Now, I know I can't be first, too. I got beat in those categories. I came late. I want to do fastest. I just want to come through my word. I want to show up. I want to be dependable. If you call on me, if you call the shot, you can count on me to get it done.
Okay.
People talk about half the numbers, man. That's one way when it's a big board council run, what Gaines is doing, that takes a big team effort, right? Mm-hmm. But I just want when people know that like we got it done, that who was the people that participated and put their percentage of work in, and I want Andrew Gaines to count on me and come through.
Cool. I don't know if Andre walked in or not.
Oh man, it'd be awesome.
But okay, so what was like the appointments like that made you get to 100K in 1 month? Because you when you were on the podcast last time, you were making 100,000 in a year, and then now you're doing the same thing, but now you're doing 100,000 in a month. So what is happening?
Yeah. A couple of different things. One is understanding that you got to teach people how to build. Like, you got to build leaders. But it's not just you building a leader. Like, I can build a leader. Okay, that's cool. But I need to teach my guys to go build leaders.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I'm starting to see the difference at. And when you can say, let's say, for instance, you can bring 100 people in, right?
Mm-hmm.
But can you really pour individual time into 100 different people?
Yeah. You got to spread the info.
Correct. So I had to learn how to build leaders. That's pretty much it. Number 2 thing is really just focusing in on, literally just focusing in. Is that him?
Andre. Okay.
Is that him? Cool.
Let's go. We can just keep it rolling.
Andrizzo.
But okay, so we were talking about leadership and how.
Why are you talking to this guy?
Why am I talking? I'm so excited for this. Okay, so let's just kind
People
of
don't know we have a great relationship.
No, I know y'all have a great
People
relationship.
don't even know this. People
Yeah,
don't, they're going to see this podcast. They can be like, them two. Interesting.
He's got all my reels.
Yeah.
He stole your reels?
No, he's like in my reels.
Yeah.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
How'd y'all's relationship kind of start?
Dang. The race to 100 no. It goes back further than that. Well, okay, I'll go back to when I first met Andre. Andre came in, was new to the he was getting introduced. We had cigars. I think I like Chop It Up or something like that with Matt. And I remember him telling his story about him being in this industry. And I think I called him an EMT one time. He was like, bro, I'm a paramedic. Like, it was like a big thing with him. But he was a non-MD, and he was like in a spot where I saw him growing in, and I think we just like connected because I think we were non-MDs almost at the same time.
Okay.
And I think I was in the middle of my like marketing director run. He kind of came in, and then, like, Andre's the type of person that like you're gonna notice who Andre is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Andre's in a room. He eventually stood up. Was like loud, not in a competitive like I'm better. No, he was like loud, like I am Andre, like pretty much how he would do it. I would say. And then I think we kind of kicked it after that. Then I think we were both genuinely helping each other when we were figuring the business out. I would say figuring the business out.
Yeah,
we were genuinely just like helping out. I would go to his office, and then it started because he was renting a cubicle in the office. I wasn't a renter at the time, and I was kind of like tiptoeing with it. And I remember him saying, bro, look at my income when I started actually like renting. And I was like, oh, okay. So I became a renter with him. We started doing it, renting the booth together. It was really his cubicle, and I just was paying money towards it because I didn't show up to it. And then what's funny is people don't even know this. He is the one that kind of like, outside of like Andrew, but he's the one that pushed me to get an office. Because I remember you was like, get the cubicle by yourself, bro. Watch your income's going to grow.
Mm-hmm.
It started to grow. I hit the number. And then when I wanted to get the actual office, because he built the office inside of the office, and I was about to get the office, he was like, no, bro, go do it. And I'm like, oh, man, I don't know this. You know, like you have those doubts, right? Did it, and I mean, it paid off.
Yeah. I mean, that's how you know, right? That's how in this business that you know you need to do it. Like,
Yeah.
if somebody tells you to do something and you're immediately hesitant, that's the first sign that you need to press into it and go do it. Because I remember that's exactly how it was for me. I mean, got started in October of 21 and then attended to the moon in February of 22. And I came back from that event a completely different person, started running. I rented that cubicle in April of 22. And it wasn't crazy. It was like $600 a month, but I wasn't making that consistently in the business yet. You know, I'm only in the business, 5-6 months trying to figure this whole thing out. But I was like, I need to do it. And like literally the month I rented that cubicle, I never had a commission month without a comp in it. Never again. And then I was like, okay, I could do this. And then I was like, okay, but let me just, it was me, you, and Holland? Who's the third?
Yeah, Holland. Yeah.
Holland, right? So we were renting the cubicle. Like you said, I was the one coming consistently every day. Mychal really wasn't coming to the office that much yet at the time. And I just started, that was really the season where I started figuring this business out. Yep. I'm like, okay, I'm a renter. I'm a professional. I'm doing this business. You know how they say there's like the 5 stages of the business. You can treat it like a hobby. You can treat it like a business. You can treat it like I definitely moved to the next stage when I started renting that cubicle. And what it did was it made me realize that not only can I do this, but if I continue at the pace that I'm on, I could probably do it well and help a lot of people.
And you did.
And that excited me.
Yep.
And then then we hit MD that July, literally like 4 months after. So I started renting the cubicle and went on our MD run, and boom, we hit it 3 months later.
Then a couple months later, you hit your 50K watch.
Yeah.
And I wasn't a 50K watch earner at the time. And like that would like sold me. I was like, how did the heck did he? And he was like, bro, I come to the office. I'm like,
Every day.
I need to get to the office.
Why are you not coming to the office?
I had this master plan that I could beat everybody, not at the office. I don't know what it was. It was just like I don't even know.
It was just something in your head that you thought you wanted to do.
Well, you got to think. Sometimes you get told like this is gonna be like you can do this and have more time. Like it's like the dream is like you can do this and you have a lot of like part time, or you want to be home with your family, or whatever the case may be. But you don't realize it's the sacrifice you make now that's gonna give you the time with your family later on down the road.
Got you.
I thought it was like time with my family now, and I'm gonna make the money now. And it was like, you still gotta put work in. It doesn't work like that. You still like does any industry you go in, you gotta put some type of work in.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like comfortable being at home. I thought like being on Zoom. I didn't realize like the kneecap, what we're doing right here is more important than jumping on Zoom. I was born on Zoom, and I thought running my business on Zoom was gonna be good, but it wasn't.
Why is it important to be in the office versus Zoom?
If you ask me, first off, it creates a discipline and structure for yourself. I think when at home, you're easy to like sit on the couch, maybe play, scroll, watch TV, scroll on social media. But when you crack that door and I'm at the office and like you see somebody making $2 million a year that's there before you, you're like, okay, I get it. Like I understand it. That's work ethic. Like Sheena and Andrew are at the office every day. It's first thing in the morning, and I'm understanding like, okay, then you got to talk about when you have a client. If you don't meet your client out and about at a restaurant or something, when they come in, you need to have a client like understanding this is an establishment that you have. Then being accessible to your agents if you're building, your agents being in a spot where they can come in and like learn, shadow you, duplicate you. This business is a distro business, duplication. So if somebody's watching you do what you're doing, the last thing I would say is the connection. He knows it's already. I almost steak dinner. We're going next month. I think it's next month we're going.
You just tell me, I'll be there.
We're going next month before GTT. I told my wife the other day, I was like, we got to bring Andrew to steak dinner, but whatever. But when I got initially that policy, you asked me about one of the big part of the big policies of that last month. I think it was like 40-something thousand. He was the one that told me to put like structure it, and it was like now he wants 10%. But all joking aside, he was the one I went in his office, and I was like, I forgot what I asked him, and he was like, bro, do this, do. I was like, Went back to my office, I did it. I was like, okay, cool. Boom, let's submit this. Like,
but it was because you're always together, not always together, but y'all are always in the office, and then you built that relationship, and then you just pop in and say, hey, I have a question.
Pop in. He pops in all the time, and I pop in his office all the time. Like, it's just like, it's like brotherhood. It's like, yeah, I'm just popping his office, whatever. Like,
what was your thoughts, Andre, when he had his 100K month last month?
So, like, genuinely, real talk, and I told you this, genuinely,
happy for me.
I could not have been more happy. Like, I was genuinely happy for him, man.
Yep.
Like, I know, like, straight up, like, some people do that, you're like, damn, that stings.
Yeah.
I wanted to beat him.
Yeah.
Damn, that stings. You know, like, the competitive.
Yeah.
That competitor comes out of you. And don't get me wrong, of course, I still have that thing that of course I wanted to beat him. I want to beat everybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when it happened and Andrew posted that on our on the group me, I was like, damn, I'm happy for this boy. And I called him. Like, I didn't post on group me. I picked up the phone.
He was the only person that called me, actually.
I said,
Wow.
dude,
Yeah, one of the only people
I said,
called me.
congratulations, bro.
Yeah.
I said, that's a big deal. I mean, do you know how many, like thinking about the percentage of people that will live their entire life and never accomplish what he just accomplished.
No, like not even accomplish 100,000 in a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let alone in a month.
In a month, right? And that's what I love about our industry, because I know for him to have made that kind of impact for his family and for his future and for his last name, he had to go serve people. Like, right now, there were people better off in this world because they met him than they were before he came into their life. Otherwise, he doesn't get that commission check.
Right.
So that's the great thing about this industry is the more you get paid is directly correlated to the more people you help or the level of service that you provide.
And can you like go deeper in that? How is he making 100,000 by genuinely leaving the world a better place and helping families?
Well, we're in the insurance business, right? We're in the life insurance business, and if there's like one of the things that really drew me to this industry first, because my background was EMS. I was a paramedic, and I struggled in the beginning. I think we spoke about this last time of like, am I ever going to find anything that's going to give me the value that I had of like literally saving lives? Yeah. And once I understood the impact that we have on the community and what we can do, that like I would think back to like every time I had to like pronounce somebody, right, over my course of 20 plus years. And I never realized it then, but I could think back now, and I'm like, I can always tell the people that had somebody like Mychal get in touch with them before that day. Because there's only 2 responses to me to receiving that message, right? One response is, oh my God, what are we going to do? Like, I just told you, you just lost your loved one of God knows how many years. And your initial thought is, what am I going to do? That person immediately goes into survival mode. Yep. They're not even processing what I just said to them.
Right.
They just went immediately into survival mode and thinking, how am I going to survive? Yep. Because that person they just lost was like their loved one, the breadwinner, the person that took care of everything. So they immediately go into survival mode. And, you know, I think back of like all these stories that I've ever heard over my career of like people who just never seem to like get over the loss of a loved one. It's because they never grieved. Nope. They never went through those 5 stages of grief to be able to reach the point of acceptance. And that's probably because they're constantly living in a state of survival. And they don't have time to process that, right? So I know the fact that for Mychal to make $100,000 in a month is directly tied to, hey, he either just took care of somebody, he just took care of a family whose now their future will never be that. Yeah. That person, whoever it is, I don't know your client, I don't know the name, I don't know, but whoever it is will never have to suffer that, what am I going to do now when that day inevitably happens? Because there's one thing that's for sure, man. It's not a 50-50. It's 100%. God's going to call us all home one day. And when he does, knowing that, you know, somebody got to sit in front of Mychal and straighten out like their, you know, their final, their life insurance, just that person's taken care of and they'll never have to go through that. He just blessed somebody with the opportunity to grieve. Wow. That's what he just did. He just blessed somebody with the opportunity to grieve. And he either did it multiple times over, right? Or he really blessed somebody with the opportunity to be able to grieve.
So everybody's been asking me this, so we might as well tell the podcast. The whole story is crazy. So I'll say 60% of it was me. 40% was actually my team. They ran for it too. It was like a goal. So the month prior, 2 months prior, we've been saying the same. McKean Hill, he was like, you're going to make $50K in a month. You're going to make $50K in a month. We're going to help you make $50K. Like, the team's been saying that, right? Yeah. So we had to, like, pipe it up, like, $50K. But, well, this policy hit the other 60 or 70K of it. But the lady, I met her in July. We get on an appointment, run it. And you know how, like, you get off the appointment, you're like, oh, man, I could have pushed a little bit harder. But it wasn't a bad. So we kept following each other month after month after month. After month, all the way to January. Oh, December. I'll tell you December. Get on a call with her again, just checking on her and her family, seeing how things are going. She's like, yeah, I'm going to get back to you soon. It's not really a rush right now. I was like, well, you know, in case something happened, it is kind of a rush. She was like, nah, I got something right now, but I'm just waiting. January hits. I pray, and me and Cons were praying in the beginning of a MD kickoff, and we said, God, just allow us to have clients that just receives us like high identity. You know, we want to take care of people. We want to pour into people. We want to build leaders. All this prayer, right? Boom. It's Saturday. I showed it at, I think, BOM. It's 12 midnight. Yeah. And she says, like, I'm ready to get my IUL policies. So, you know, you wake up as an agent. You're like, okay, cool. I'm going to BOM Saturday morning. We have training Saturday morning. Right. I'm like, okay, I'll get with you later on today, right? Boom. Get with her later on today. And then, like, make it a priority, but I got with it, got on. And I was like, okay, what do we want to do? I said, I know you talked about this last time. And what we talked about last time was not what we talked about this time. What we talked about last time was maybe like $1,000 a month, you know, for you. Maybe your husband get like $1,000. She's like, okay, well, I want to put $250,000 up front into this policy because I want to make sure I want to put into the policy to grow. And she says, I want to put like $10,000 away for this many years, whatever it was. So, okay, cool. I was like, all right, you know, we do this all the time for our clients. And then we got her husband. She's like, my husband wants to do $80,000 up front. I'm like, okay, what kind of money they have? She was like, then I want to put just $100 policies on each of my kids. I have my trust set up for when I pass away that it's going to take that money and put it into either like I structured the kids to where like it wasn't max minimum death benefit. It was like max death benefit, minimum cash put into it. So it allows that big room down the road to be able to dump into it.
So they can put more into it later on.
Down the road. And
Waterfall.
Then, and then her daughter, it was like her daughter, three kids, and her grandchild. We all got policies. The grandchild and the kids were like $100 a month. The daughter was like $10,000 up front, maybe like $400 or $500 a month. And then boom, we did that. And so that was like off the wall. Didn't know nothing about it. Submitted the policy. It got approved. Everything, the med exams or whatever. Boom. My staff, my niece, she's my placement coordinator. I'm like, hey, let's send her a nice restaurant gift card, wherever the restaurant they want to go to, for her and her husband just to go like fine dine one night. They picked some, I think Fogo de Chao, that's where they wanted to go for his birthday. So we paid for it. And they were like, she was like, you know how I was able to do those policies? She's talking to my niece. My niece knows nothing about the policies, like how they're structured. She knows nothing about it. She's like, yeah, I hit the lottery back in July when I met Mychal. I just vetted Mychal all the way from July to now to make sure he was the right person to go with.
Bingo.
Wow.
Bingo.
She was vetting you for how many months?
7 months.
7 months.
She said she watched my Facebook.
How consistent is
she
this
said
going to be?
She said she watched my Facebook. She watched me being with my family. Just like my Facebook didn't give her nothing that was like ill feeling. She was like, I wanted to go with him back then. She was like, I just wanted to make sure. So her husband calls me, Raymond called me like, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks ago. And I'm talking with him, and me and him are just like laughing and talking. He was like, yeah, my wife was like vetting you, man. Like, boom, boom, boom. He was like, I was in Ghana because I'm taking some of the money and I'm building resorts in Ghana. He was like, so for the first round that we have of people to come, I want you and your wife to come out to Ghana to one of our resorts. And I'm like, oh, that's cool, no problem. He's like, by the way, I'm going to go ahead and take a loan for $40,000 just to pay my staff. I'll put it back in there. And can I get another 2 policies in the beginning of April or May? And I'm like, absolutely, whenever you want. And he's like, sending me the information. I'm like, God, you just blessing me. I don't even know what to say right now.
That's it.
Yep.
And that's one client.
Yep. And she gave me referrals to all the people that they're building these resorts with in Ghana. So I have to sit down with all these people down the road. I think my wife's mad at me because Andrea Batson, I don't know, whatever lady's name is. My wife's like, you got to make sure you can sit with them. I'm like, whatever, okay, cool. Like, but like, it's just like coming with the floodgates right now. Yeah.
That's crazy how you're like, we always talk about it, we always hear it, and I genuinely believe it. You're one relationship, one client, one referral away from changing your life. From everything.
And so
changing.
like, the reason why Andre's not going to, he's going to tell you the truth. He knows I've been grinding. It wasn't like I just got like hit it off and like, oh, I always like that. I don't have no social media blow up. It was just all from me beginning to feel. And then like some of it also came from why I told you building leaders. So the other side of it was like, I legitimately had to like, once again, Andre, he doesn't know how much he impacts me. I remember you had to drive, what was you drove? 2 hours for an agent. You're like, it was like a term. You're like, it was like 2 hours?
Yeah.
Drove 2 hours for a term. I'm like, man, he's driving 2 hours for these appointments. And it's our competitive brotherhood that we have. I'm like, man, if he's driving 2 hours, I gotta
you gotta drive 3 hours.
Client, one of my agents coming to, she's like, hey, I got this guy, works for T-Mobile, whatever, got laid off. I think we need to help him out with his retirement strategy. I was like, where's that? She's like, Oklahoma. I was like, well, Andre drove 2 hours. I guess I got to try these 3. Drive up there, whatever. Drive, sit down with the guy. We're eating at we met him up there. Then he wound up coming down by us. We sat at La Cima right there by the house and sit down with him. Once again, he was like, man, I just love your aura. I love your energy. He's like, you're just a stand-up guy. You didn't feel like you were like doing anything wrong. You legitimately said like, hey, this is the best options for you. I didn't push him. Didn't, hey, you got to eat this right now. Mm-hmm. In our industry, people just like want the money, right? Sat down with them. The first time I sat with them, they tell you they got like 20, 30,000, right? Then all of a sudden he has like 300 and something thousand. Right. It's like, okay, cool, whatever, right? Then same scenario. I'm sitting with another agent. Boom, they like, hey, you need help? It's 800,000. Then it's like, got 3 or 4 agents. There's writing independent policies. One of my guys helped a guy. He's 50-something years old. Has no retirement strategy. No retirement strategy. He's 56, 57. No retirement strategy at all. And he's like, man, you have to put this amount of money away in order to be able to catch up and at least have something by the age of 68, 69. The guy's like, yeah, let's do it. Boom, got it. So it was like all of us like getting in the field, but my team got more confidence because they saw me doing it and me having those stories of like, man, just stick this thing out, keep going through it, get in the field, come to the office, shadow, and they seen it. One of my agents actually was with me when I did the appointment for the big client. Mm-hmm. So she got confidence. She was like, oh, if this can happen for you, it can happen for me.
What's the biggest change you've seen in Mychal in the last like 90 days?
I've seen him turn into a beast of a competitor and a leader. Like, you see what he's doing. Like, you can't fake it, right? And that's kind of like why I like us splitting the days that we did. I mean, you can hide, like when we were all together, you could hide your base shop, you can hide numbers, but now everything's like as an MD, like in Dallas, there is no, like, everything's transparent. Like twice a week we have to post all of our numbers and show what we're doing. And dude, you watch him go from 5 butts in seats, 8 butts in seats, 12 butts in seats, 20 butts in seats, 30, but like, you just watch the business grow, and it's a direct reflection of the leader that he's becoming and the passion and drive that he has for what he does and for his team.
Appreciate that.
It's there's no secret formula to this. It's literally care about people, genuinely care about people, wanting to see other people do better than you, faster than you do it, and watch what happens. And that's where he's at with his. He's in the explosion phase of his business, and it's exciting to watch.
I was just telling you about that. I was like, most times people always talk about the before and the after, and like, let's say for instance, like Matt Sheena, we always wonder like, what was it like before? Like, what was it like in the early stages? And I was telling him, we never talk about the midst of it. And it's like, we're kind of all in the midst of it though. Like, we're all in the midst of all of our phases, and you kind of like, you got to step back for a moment and be like, he asks how it feels. Like, you just feel like, man, like all the hard work I put in is finally like happening. Like, you hear them say like, just keep going, just keep. You're like, I don't want to show, and it starts to come, and you just gotta like, just enjoy it, but you gotta be humble too. I think you gotta drop your ego and know that like, man, you gotta have some late night conversations. You gotta have those. Show up on days that you don't want to show up. Yeah. You gotta have like, you just gotta be in a spot where you're like, man, I enjoy what I do and I'm happy when I'm doing it, but I gotta help other people keep winning. And just don't let it stop. Yeah.
You briefly mentioned the waterfall method.
Yeah.
What is that?
It's a strategy, right? And it just kind of builds on like what he was talking about with his client of building a trust. And then, the trust is listed as the beneficiary and the owner of a policy. And then the trust just has instructions. So in this case, and this is how he's gotten to a level where his skills are there. Because most people putting together IULs for kids, minimum death benefit, max cash, because that's how we're taught to do it, right? But the fact that he maxed out the death benefit to open up that policy to hold more cash down the road, because they're already anticipating, whoever the matriarch of that structure will eventually pass away, and the trust has already been instructed to, hey, when I pass, put XYZ amount of life insurance on this person. Well, there's 2 options. Either you can structure a policy to hold more down the road, or you can add multiple policies down the road either. But this one is structured so that, hey, it can hold it. So now when that child, I don't know how old they are, when they get of age or when that person passes, like, they're going to be taken care of. But like, the greatest thing like that person will have, because this is what I did for my daughter, is, like, I'm not going to be here for everything for Aliana, right? And I already know that. But I've already taken care of her past. Like, when she hits 60, she's set. Like, she doesn't have to worry about nothing. And as a parent, it is very rewarding and very comforting to know that daddy took care of the beginning, and daddy took care of daddy will be taking care of you long after he's gone. And I love that I could do that for her.
And she's going to make decisions in her life knowing that and at ease. Like, like when you grew up, you're like, I got to make this decision because I don't know where I'm going to be at in 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years. Right. Like, the decisions you make today is what's going to happen to you down the road. She's making decisions off of like, okay, I know that's set, so let me go this route. Okay, that's not the right. Let me go this route. I'm successful here. Let me stay here.
You can do what you want.
You do what you want.
Right? So I always make the joke. I'm like, hey, if she chooses to be a starving artist in Paris, c'est la vie. Go do you. You could do it.
But she can take a chance,
you could do it. You could take a chance to go do it, because you don't need to take that corporate job and go get that 401k and go get that IRA. You don't need to do it.
Most people won't make decisions right now because they don't know what their retirement is going to look like.
Right.
Yep.
So what's the next step, right? Let's say you set this in place for your family. You have the waterfall method, which is, max funding big policies early on, and then kind of feeding into a trust, and then doing that, so forth and so forth.
He talked about this. I'm going to let him take it, but you talked about this at that pregame, and I think it woke me up. It, like, did something inside me. He said that, like, think back in your family. Do you know your great-grandfather? Mm-hmm. Okay, do you know your great-great-grandfather? no, I don't know him. Okay, you have the chance right now in your time to make such a big impact to your family that your family knows who their great grandfather is. I think if you want to ask me like after I set up retirement, boom boom, I'm only focused on like I want my great grandkids to know, my great grandkids to know like, hey, Mychal was the guy that like changed everything. But you can take it from that.
That to me is so important, man.
That shook me up.
It is one of the things that drives. Why are you always at the office? You put in a 14-hour day standing on your head. Well, from the firefighter perspective, I work 24-hour shifts. So 14, I can do 14 standing on my head. I did 24-hour shifts and didn't sleep for days on end. So I got that. But like, what this industry really made me realize, and this is what I love about what we have, is the power of proximity, right? Like the conversations change, like what you talk about changes, like who you have in your ear changes, your influence change, everything changed. And when you're around people, like-minded individuals who are high-achieving people, like your identity will change. Like it has to, or you're gonna kind of stay stagnant where you are, right? Yeah. And when I came to the realization, I'm like, man, if you think about it, God, this is what I was saying, God gives us 75 years. You know what I mean? 75 summers, 75 falls, 75 winters, 75, springs. We get 75 trips around the sun. That's it, if we're lucky. And if you don't do something in that time, within 2 generations, you will be forgotten.
Wow.
It'll be as if you never existed. And I said it, and I realized, like, nobody reacted. And I was like, okay. I said, all right, follow me. Watch this. I'm like, raise your hand if you know your great-grandfather. Like, 8 hands went up.
Mm-hmm.
I said, now raise your hand if you don't know your great-grandfather. Like you don't, the whole office everybody's hand went up, right? So I said, think about it. What was his name? Yeah. What was your great-grandmother's name? Where'd they meet? What did he do? Like, and that woke people up.
It woke me up.
Like, think about it. Like, who wants to be, I don't care how much work ethic you have. Nobody wants to be insignificant.
Yeah.
Right? Like, everybody wants to do something. Now, does it have to be huge? You have to, no, but everybody wants to do something. But when you come to the realization that if you don't do nothing, or if you just follow the standard quo, you just follow that standard, like within 2 generations, you're gone. Like, it'll be like you never existed. And I was like, I need to do something that's going to live beyond me. And I literally have this vision, and I see this, and it's so clear, right? I literally envision, like, one day, like, you see, like, these old, like, English movies where they open up, like, the doors to, like, this giant mansion. It's like, right? And then, like, you walk in the foyer and you hear, like, the footsteps, like, in the start of, like, Michael Jackson Thriller. And you're just walking into somebody's home. And then, like, right in the foyer, you have all those pictures of all the ancestors, right? And it, like, goes back, and it, like, the most current one, or the last one is the most current. Like, I had the vision of a row of that, but my picture's the first one.
Yeah.
Like, my picture's the first one. And then it'll be my heirs, and then their heirs, and their heirs. And so I have an opportunity right now to change the dynamic of my last name, and I'm going to take that opportunity, right? Because I've bust my butt, all my life, and I've never been able to do the things that I've been able to do in this industry in such a short period of time.
Facts.
What would you add to that?
Now I'm right in line with it. It's not even about the money part for me. I mean, because the money's going to come when you're making a life of significance.
Yeah, it's the impact.
It's the impact. I think that, like, so prime example, my son right now is living a totally different life. Like, so I pull up in my car the other day, and he's like, telling the kid on the side of him, he goes, if you want a car like that, you got to run appointments and make a lot of money. And I'm like, bro,
he just knows.
He just knows. But if I leave the house, my son is not like crying. He's like, okay, Dad, you have a good day at work. I walk in from the house the other day, and my daughter's like, how was work, Dad? How was your day? How was the office? And I'm like, man, like, I don't think I was talking to my parents like that at that age. But, like,
you're having a real conversation with them.
They're 4 and 5. Like, and I'm like, okay, boom. But I'm thinking like you think. I'm like, what about my grandkids? How are they gonna view me? Like, my son's seeing me at the best version of myself right now, as of now. Like, he's seeing his dad as his best version. Okay, Dad's doing this. Dad got this going on. We just moved to a big house. Like, boom. Okay. Then I'm thinking about, like, okay, when my grandkids get here, I want them to say, like, boom, like, look at my dad. Like, I visit myself kind of like, not the ancestors do it, but I really visit myself on a porch, seeing my grandkids, and I'm just, like, looking at everything that I built for them in, like, a compound, like, but it's like our family's compound. They're just running golf cart, whatever they have, whatever at the time. I'm like, man, like look what I did. That's how I kind of look at it. You know, like look what I did for the family. Boom.
That's my vision, man. It's on my vision board.
Yeah,
I
that's it.
literally have like acres.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the whole, we all live, we're all
compound.
together. It's just a compound and we're all together.
We're all together.
Right?
Yeah.
Like we all get in the golf cart. Hey, whose house are we having dinner at today?
Yeah.
But we're all together. And that's my vision.
What's funny is my sister-in-law, we used to have a joke when I first started and we were starting PHP. I used to have a joke. I was like, one day we're going to have a house so big, we're all going to be there and we're going to have this like little button that you got to press, right? You ride up to the gate, you press the button, and you're like, hey, are you home? And I was like, I'm going to hit the intercom at the house and be like, oh, you didn't support me. No, I'm not home. Don't worry about it. You got to leave. Like, we joke about it. We joke about it. And then, like, now we're starting to, like, do this. She's like, yeah, we talked about doing it, like, 10, 15 years from now, but that might be happening sooner than you think. And I'm
Wow.
like, wow, you're right. But here's what it does. Everybody in our family, like you were talking about earlier, we made $100K in a month. My mom literally, like, sends me a text message. She was the one that first sent me a text message. She says, so proud of you. Just do it 10 more times. You're a millionaire. And I'm like, shh, got it. And then, like, my sister-in-law, she goes, okay, I got it, like, you just like help. You just changed the whole family. Like we're all viewing you in constant. Like, oh wait, they just did that. Like, boom. You got to think. My mother-in-law is 64, and for a year of income, she makes like $63,000 a year. And it's like, what I did in a month, she's like, hey, can you pay the rest of them out? Like jokingly, but like we just like changed our whole family. Like everybody just like got belief that they can go do something like that.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like it's different. So my sister-in-law is like, let's go run. And I'm like, let's go run. Let's go do this for the next 10, 15 years. Just like it.
Yeah, I told you inspired me with that. And I'm like, man, he just did 100 in a month. Like,
Yeah.
because in what we're accustomed to seeing, 100 a month is like Matt and
top person.
Sheena.
Yep.
Yeah, like
I just broke the barrier for everybody that's
Literally.
below, I guess, a council
VP?
VP. Below VP.
VP?
I don't think any under VP, if maybe they did like a big annuity or something.
Yeah.
I think I was telling my wife that I said we just opened the door for everybody. We just nobody's really real. A couple people in the company realize it. They text me. They're like Mason texts me, Hansberry, like different people that's like up there performing that notice some of the performers. They text me, but I was telling my wife, I said we just broke the barrier for everybody in the office to say if you're an MD, EMD, it doesn't matter what category you're in, you can go do that.
You can go, if you do it once, you can do it again. And you do it again, and then millionaires are gonna start popping out.
Well, that's what's funny. You remember Matt? They talked about. They're
Yeah.
like people are gonna get to $1 million in income way faster than we did it.
100%.
Matt said it took him I think
36, 38,
37 months.
37 months, but he took him 2.5 years of being a piece of people where he like, no, remember, not 2.5 years. It took him 14 years of in the industry, something like that. He told me
Right.
before he did his first 100K month. That's what, like, whatever it is. It took him a longer time. I only been in business 2.5 years and got to 100K
It took him 14 years.
to
to
get
make
to
his first 100 grand in a
100K
month.
man.
Yeah.
And
So
you just did it in 2.5.
He went from $1 million in income in 37 months, but he was already in the industry for
Right. 12 years.
12 years,
Yeah.
whatever it is. So it took him 14 years to get the 100K in a month. Andrew was telling me it took him 12 years to make his first 100K in a month. Seegers took 6 years to get to 100K a month. I did it in 2.5.
You can literally see it happening
Yeah.
faster and fast. It's an exponential curve.
It's the perfect time to be in this industry.
It's the perfect time. And what's so funny is when Matt's closing out the other night, and he's like, what he said, and he said, the sales are down in our industry right now. And I'm like, what it looks like. I was like, what it looks like when it's up? That's what I said. I was like, well, if I did 100K in a month, I was like, oh, we're making probably 30 this week. I said, oh, wait. Well, if it's down, what does it look like when it's up? Like, I'm excited for this. You got to think there's going to be another pandemic in some part of our time history, right?
Yeah.
Something's going to be crazy, right? And when pandemics and things like that happen, our industry goes crazy.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, like, right now for myself, I just got to have a big enough net so when it happens, I'm just prepared for it.
And even if it's not another pandemic, look at the time we're in, man.
Yeah.
I mean, you have the largest group of people that have been working. They're all getting ready to
Correct.
retire, and they all need the service that we provide.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And we're in the business of protection,
Yep.
which is why this is such an easy transition for me, right? Like, people worked hard. Like the baby boomers, they worked hard, man.
Facts.
You know, they were the salt of the earth people. They were the backbone of this country, and they worked hard. They built it. Whatever they have, whether it's $250,000 or if it's $8 million, nobody wants to lose their money.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody wants to lose their money. Nobody just wants to go on the market will rebound. That you'll get it back eventually, right? And nobody wants to go through that. So when we have a platform where we're able to go out there and educate people, and really like show them and get them to, to understand what it is we do. That's what I love about what it is that we do. Like I get to educate you. Like literally, like right before I came here, the appointment that I had before I came here, I was sitting with a client and I told him about a product. He goes, "I've never heard of that," and I'm like, "Yeah, I know." And it's he goes, "How long's it been around?" I'm like, "The '90s." He's like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah."
You know what's crazy? You was a paramedic, and then you also was a firefighter.
Yeah.
Right? How much physical hard labor did you go through to earn your money? Like picking people up, like fly. You used to fly out of the country, like
You were
bleeding,
in ponds with alligators and
Yeah.
crocodiles.
people bleeding, and like you're like sweating, like somebody's life is in your hands.
Sure.
To go into on a Zoom, it's not a call, like on a call, like you're like talking with a guy in person, wherever it's at, and you're like, "Hey, this is the product. This is gonna protect your retirement."
Right.
Versus somebody bleeding out, like.
Well, I'll tell you the difference between the two. I didn't have to establish as much trust as a firefighter. The trust came as soon as I showed up. Yeah, the trust was immediately. In this industry, I have to establish a little bit of trust.
Yeah.
And just like what he said, oh, they told me, 3,000, that turns into 30,000. That's just establishing trust. 7-month follow-up, that's just establishing trust, right? So to get some of those bigger policies, you need to establish trust. But why is that easy for the agents that are in this business for the right reasons is because you're not chasing the money. It's not the money, it's the purpose. So I know as long as I keep doing this for the purpose, the money will come.
The money will come.
Like I never, like we have this joke. I literally have to ask Monica every Wednesday. I'm like, how much are we getting paid today? Like how much? Because I don't follow it at all. Yeah. I've never calculated target. I've never. I just don't follow it. Yeah. I just focus on providing value in the form of education, educating as many people as I can, getting this information out to as many people as I can reach. And then if they decide to go with me, great. And I tell my clients straight up, I'm like, hey, this is a 30-minute appointment. This appointment slated for 30 minutes. I'm going to give you everything I got for 30 minutes. Even if you choose to go somewhere, all good.
Yep.
All good. As long as you leave this appointment and you found some value in it, that's what I get paid to do.
Maybe could you break down because you just got here from an appointment.
Mm-hmm.
Break down to people what you just did. You don't have to give out names or anything like that.
Sure.
But what just happened in that 30, 45 minutes? Because you do this all the time.
Yeah.
Like we're doing this all the time to where we sometimes feel like it's almost diluted to us to where we it's not that we don't see value. It's like, oh, I know this tax-free strategy.
But it's more like, why aren't you doing it? It's like that's what you probably think. Like, why aren't you doing this? Like, what do you mean you're not doing this? Like, that's how I feel sometimes. Like,
yeah, because what's the difference? We know. We were just fortunate to have come across the path of somebody who put us on a list or presented an opportunity, and we looked into it and we're like, hey, well, that sounds good. I can do that. And then we dug into it. I was like, hey, I can really do this. And not only can I do it, I like it. It's a great feeling.
I enjoy doing this.
I enjoy doing it. And it's funny because, and I'll answer your question in a sec, but like last night or yesterday for the total eclipse, last month I blocked my calendar off. And I went to bought all this equipment.
Your cameras,
everything. And I got to spend an afternoon with one of our colleagues. I went to Ron's house in Forney, and I hung out with him and Candy and his family, and set up I had a friend flying from out of town, and when it was done, at 4:00, his wife Candy made a great meal. We're sitting there, and literally we're like, we get to do this. Yep. We get to do this. Not a lot of people have that autonomy in what they're doing. They can't just be like, well, I'm taking today off.
We said the same thing. We're like, people probably quit their jobs to go see it, because people are flying in for it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You either have to take off work, you either have to get fired, quit your job, whatever,
right.
Put PTO time in. I'm like, I just
call in sick.
I just knew that I was going to be doing this. It wasn't like I was like, I'm like you. We blocked the schedule. We knew we were going to see it wasn't like I had to think about what do I need to schedule, take off, or do. I was like, I'm gonna go do.
Who do I gotta lie to?
Yeah, I'm gonna
have
go
this
watch
time off.
I'm gonna go look at it.
Right? It's just that freedom that it gives you. But to answer your question, it was literally it's a 75-year-old gentleman who he's got a little bit of money. He's seen some losses, and he doesn't want to lose any more of his money. So I literally sat back with him and I just kind of explained what it is, how you're able to, what he said, he goes, I've been hearing about this, and he goes, and it just sounds too good to be true. And I'm like, yeah, I felt the same way, man. I did. So here's where I know, all right, so right now, immediately I'm going, all right, he's a little skeptical.
Mm-hmm. I was just about to ask.
Right off the bat, I know he's a little skeptical. And honestly, you should be.
You should be, though.
You should be.
Yeah.
Because your whole life you've been told one thing. Now all of a sudden you see somebody on IG and they're telling you something completely different than what you've been told for the last 60 years of your life, right? So I just kind of like explained to them like how it works, you know, guaranteed lifetime income, guaranteed no losses. Explain to them about, you know, RMDs, required minimum distribution. All this industry really is taking a set amount of time and developing skills and learning how it works so that you can deliver it to other people. Because once you learn how it works and once you kind of like figure it out and you have that aha moment, and I had several of those coming up through the base shop. And what's crazy about it, you'll hear something, it'll make no sense.
Right.
And then like out of nowhere, like 4 months later, you'll be like, oh,
Right.
I get it. And the problem in our industry is in that time frame, that's when most people quit.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
You know, 3 inches from gold, right? They quit in that time frame because they're like, oh, I can't do this. It's not making sense. I'm not figuring it out, blah, whatever. And then you will have an aha moment. And I tell people this all the time. I'm like, I did not wake up understanding how to structure an IUL.
Facts.
Right.
I was not born knowing how to put together an annuity. You know what I mean? And figuring out like the surrender and, you know, or is it suitable for you? Like I wasn't born with any of this. I don't come from a finance pedigree. I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth. I've been a hard worker my whole life. The only difference between us and some of the other people that don't make it are the ones that just stuck it out longer. That's literally the ones just didn't quit right away.
And apply themselves.
Yeah, you just gotta be able to do it. But
The business is actually easy
yeah,
once you have the aha moment.
the business.
The business is actually easy. Like learning let me both sides of it. Obviously, they got the building side, building leaders. That might take time, consume people. But like, as far as the policy sides of
Right.
it, like it's kind of like
I'm now teaching them.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
I'm
it's like,
teaching
it's
a
easy,
class every
like-
Saturday
like,
morning.
when you're first learning about it, like term, IULs, variable ULs, VULs, fixed index annuities, annuities, variable annuities. Like, what is all this? Oh, I don't get all of it. Then you like learn. You like, this is actually easy. Like,
Yeah.
why do I making this so complicated?
Just simplify it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you don't know something, you can either go to a colleague and be like, hey, man, listen, oh, you know that? Because he's better in that industry than me. Like, better in that spot than me. It's like, okay, oh, wait, that makes sense. Got it. Or you just call the carrier and be like, hey, I got a question about this. And they're sitting there wanting you to call and they give you the answer.
Sure.
You're like, why did I make this so stressful for myself? It's easy. It's easy.
Why is the policy side easy? Why is building leaders hard?
I think that, like, people are in general, because you can't control people. I think that's what people think is hard, because, like, you have to actually devote time to a person and build them to be a leader. Like, you can't, like, just, like, say, okay, go be a leader. Like, you actually got to, like, point to somebody to be a leader. I think that a lot of people don't have the patience. I think patience is big. Not really, like, when he talked about earlier, like, you got to have a purpose to do this. Like, you got to legitimately want to see other people win. And I think across the board, there's a competitive side of it. But when you legitimately want to see people win, no matter what spot it is in, I think that you're in a good spot. Like, I legitimately want to help people get to financial freedom. Even if I'm not there yet, like, I'm nowhere near it. I don't care if I hit 100K a month or not. I'm nowhere near, like, oh, I'm financially free, like, in my eyes. Somebody might look at me and be like, well, if I made that. No, it's not that. But, like, when I can see one of my agents go, and it's not even, like, financially free. When I see somebody that's working with me and I'm like, okay, she's working a full-time job, but she just made $3,000 on a part-time basis in this business. Boom, I feel great about that. Okay, wait, she just came down. Okay, she just changed. She totally changed as an individual. She's talking better. She's carrying herself better. Okay, wait, like, oh, wait, he's another guy. He's like the same age as me. Oh, wait, now he's been a better father. He's been a better dad. He's been a better friend. Like, we're talking on the phone. Like, he's just talking different. That excites me. Like, I'm like, oh, wait, he's legit. I'm literally making an impact in somebody's life. So, like, it goes from, like, I'm making an impact in his life. So now I know I'm making an impact in his wife's life. I'm making an impact in his kid's life. And eventually, like, you get to a spot that, like, we talked about earlier, like, maybe his great-grandchildren might make an impact if he sticks it out long enough. And that's what, like, the part of building people, like, excites me. And, like, people might think that's hard, but you have to get excited about it.
What do you think, Andre?
I mean, it is people. You can't control people. And I think what makes it difficult or what makes it challenging is you got to think about what are we up against. And it's not just the fact that somebody's been told their whole life that, you know, we all grow up coming up dreaming, oh, I'm going to be an astronaut. I'm going to go do this. I'm going to go do that. And then what happens? Reality hits most people. You become an adult, you turn 19, 20, or you graduate college, and it's
And
like,
you're like,
all right, well,
back
get
to
your
the
head out of the
basics.
clouds. It's time to go get a job.
Yep.
And that's just all we know. And that's all their parents knew. And that's all their parents knew. So it's literally ingrained in our DNA to get a job. Like that, it's ingrained, and it's ingrained in our education system, right? There is no class that I attended in high school or
You don't
or
use
beyond.
Y. You don't use Y equals MX plus B. You don't use that.
No, yeah.
I use it all the time, bro. What you mean?
Pythagorean theorem.
There's no class on how to go be a successful. There's no mentorship 101 class, right? There's no entrepreneur 101 class. It's just not taught in this country, and I think to have people like change their mindset is probably the most difficult thing about. I'll give you a great example. I recruited somebody last month. Was following me for a while. I was like, hey man, reached out to me. He's like, hey, I want to do it. I'm like, love it. Let's do it. We bring him into the business. I dedicate some time to him. We do his fast start. We do his orientation. We make our first field training call.
Boom.
And never heard from him again. My wife reaches out to him. Hey, so-and-so, like, what happened? Oh, well, I don't want to work after 5 o'clock. And I'm like, that's just a mindset.
Yeah, it's a mindset.
That's a mindset. Like, why don't you want to work after 5? Like, why 5 o'clock? Why not 3 o'clock?
Yeah.
Why not noon? Like, why 5 o'clock? That's just because that's what you've been conditioned to believe your whole life. So when it comes to building people, you have to break that. You have to break that cycle. And that's the hard part. And how you do it is you've got to establish a relationship. Like, you've got to get in their homes. You got to get to know their families. You got to get to build trust, know their why. And let them know that, hey, man, through thick and thin, I'm going to be here for you, like, no matter what happens. And because they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Yeah.
That's crazy. He literally was just like, I don't want to work till after 5.
It's literally what he said.
Blunt, just
Yep.
blunt and straight
I don't
want
want to work after 5 o'clock. And, in MSM, we have, like, our national call on Sundays at 8. And he was like, I ain't doing that. I don't want to work after 5.
I don't want to be on the weekends.
So he's like, yeah, I'm still going to go do insurance. I'm going to go find something with, like, like State Farm or whatever. So I'm just going to go. I just want a job.
He doesn't want to use his brain after a certain time.
I mean, I guess to be, Jake, you still have to use your brain, but
at 5, you can.
yeah,
shut
he
it
wants
off.
to shut it down at 5 o'clock.
What's funny is sometimes we be leaving the house at 5 to go do appointments.
Literally.
We leave the house.
My
at 5.
calendar's open
Yeah.
almost daily till 9 p.m.
Yeah, and then on Tuesdays you're leaving your house, if not to go to the office. Like if you're not already there, you're going to go.
Like for me, like on Mondays, like when my daughter goes, like I know I'm not going to see her.
Yeah,
It's like I know I'm not going to see my kids on a Monday.
Monday, Wednesday,
Monday, Tuesday. Like I know I'm not going to see them, right? And that's why you just gotta build something like Sundays. Like my kid knows Sunday is daddy-daughter day.
Yeah.
Daddy-daughter day. And like whatever that little kid wants, she gets, man. But even still, my calendar's open on a Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not wide open. It's open for a few hours. And it's got to be for a specific, like I'm not running a field training appointment, on Sunday at, 2 o'clock. But if you got a new business partner, you need me to do a fast start, man, I'm going to do that. I'm going to run that appointment. You got a client? Well, I'm going to run that appointment, right? So even on daddy-daughter day, like my kid knows that, hey, daddy will still have to work. But, I'm we spoke last time. I'm a very technical guy, so I look stuff up.
Mm-hmm.
And, I found in my research that long-term memory starts to develop around that 6-7 year age mark. A little earlier for some, a little later for others. So I was like, okay, I got till she's 7. That's
funny.
I got till she's 7. I got another little more than a year and a half. So I'm just gonna bust my butt till 7 because now one's long-term memory. So I want to be in those. I want to make sure I'm in those memories. So I'm like, all right, I got a year and a half. Cool, let's do it. And 2.5 years ago, I was thinking, all right, I got 2.5 years. I'm just gonna bust my butt. I got 3.5 years. I'm just gonna do it. So that's always been my mindset. It's like I'm okay with running that Sunday appointment. I'm okay not being home. Like when I was in the Bay Shop, like our rule was I did not come home until I had 5 numbers. That was like law. And I told my wife, I'm like, you got to hold me accountable to this. Like, and I would come home, baby, got your 5 numbers? Got 3. Go get 2 more numbers for you to come home.
I remember you used to do that.
And I would go back out. So I would do that in the beginning thinking, all right, whatever. But she held me accountable. And so now I knew if I wanted to tuck my little girl in at night, I better have my 5 numbers for 7 o'clock.
Oh, wow.
If I wanted to be there for dinner, I wanted to have dinner, I better have my 5 numbers before my wife served dinner. Like the numbers was my ticket to get into my house. And if I didn't do that, I failed my entire, that means the whole day, not taking her to school, not picking her up, not being able to share whatever it is I missed in that time was for nothing.
Wow.
Was for nothing.
All right, I know you got somewhere to be here soon. I want to wrap up with what is the biggest advice that you wish you had known when you first got into business? I want to start with Andre.
The biggest piece of advice I wish I'd have known when I first got it.
If you could go back, if you can go back in time when you first started, what would you tell yourself? Yeah.
We're still trying to figure it out. No, I'm joking.
I'm trying to think of so here's where I was fortunate. I was pretty much full time from jump, right? And I learned a lesson very early. So even when I came in, I was still unlicensed. Sheena came to me and she would tell me, I just need you to go, just take the practice exams. Don't worry about the whole thing. Just take and my paramedic and logical brain was like, well, that don't make no sense. I'm not doing that. I have to learn this. Right. So it was like 3 or 4 days later, Sheena comes up to me, how's the studying going? And I'm like, man, chapter 1's a bitch. Like, I'm like, it's got a lot of modules, coach. I wasn't calling her coach yet. I was like, it's got a lot of modules. Like and I saw that look on her face, and she goes, all right, I need you to listen to me. And she's like, I need you just to do this. And in my brain, it made no sense, but I did it. I literally, it just happened to coincide with like Monica going away for 3 days on a business trip. And I took 3 days and I just crammed and just studied my butt off. And I took the exam on the 3rd day and I got a 96.
96?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And I went, that makes no sense. What she told me to do made no sense.
But it worked.
But I did it. And so from that moment, which was, I was only in business, it was a week in the business. Yeah. Anything she told me to do, I just did. Like, I'll never forget when she told me to start doing reels. I was like,
yeah.
She's like, you got to go do 3 to 5 a day for the next 30 days. At that point, I had not owned TikTok. I had not had an IG page. I only used Facebook to talk to like friends and family. Like, I wasn't on social media, right? And I remember her telling me that, and I went, damn you, Sheena. I'm like, I'm not the best appointment setter. I'm not the best life agent. I'm not the best recruiter. But I do feel like I have been probably one of your most coachable. Like, I always felt like you told me to do something, I just did it. No question. I'm like, this one, a little shaky. This one's a little shaky, but I did it. And we made $100,000 last year on social media. Right?
Wow. So
can I say I wish I'd have done it sooner? I mean, I did it pretty quick, but I'll say, if you're going to ask for mentorship, take the mentorship. Yeah. And I think that's where a lot of people struggle is if you're logical or technical like me, it's hard to do something that doesn't make sense to you. Mm-hmm. And it just doesn't compute and you just can't connect the dots. It's hard to do it. And I think a lot of people kind of get stuck where they are when they come into the business and they never like develop to that next phase. So I would say the sooner you can just commit to getting that first phase of improvement and self-development, the quicker you'll be able to see success.
Powerful.
Yeah.
Powerful. What about you, Mychal?
I would say for me, there's almost 2 of them, but one I would say things that you're not good in, hire somebody to help you with. Like, and I'm not saying hire somebody. Like, I think for me, in business, staff. Like, you got to have somebody in your weak spots, your blind spots and your weak spots. You need to have somebody that can get in those spots. I think in the beginning stages, I was so big on like doing everything, but I wasn't good in certain areas. When you talk about business wise, and now that like where I'm at now, I'm like, man, I'm so grateful for having her here, this person here, because it allows me to actually not focus on my strengths, but like do what I'm good at. And the spots that I'm weak at, they're stronger in those spots. So it helps me out a lot. And the second thing, kind of like piggybacking what he's saying, I think a lot of people need to be like let your ego down and be okay with asking for help. I think one of the biggest struggles I had last year was like going to my mentor and telling him where I needed help at. I was more pointing the finger, being in a victim mentality, like, oh, he doesn't want to help me, he doesn't want this. It's like, no, bro. He wants to shorten the time frame down. The minute I went and talked to him, my whole business just changed. So in the beginning, it's like you ask for mentorship, you ask for leadership, you ask for somebody to point to you. You got to be coachable and just like go talk to him. So So that's my 2 biggest mistakes.
Cool. Any final thoughts?
We got to do like a part 2, bro.
I think so.
I feel
No,
like,
we have
I feel
to.
like
we legit need to set this out where we literally
I have like
block
3
off
hours.
3 hours.
No, I
I'm
completely
down.
agree.
Because
I completely agree.
This is the second time in a week, and
We're
it
like,
just goes.
we got to like go. Look at it. I'm down
Yeah.
for next week, man. Let's,
Yeah, so am I.
There's gonna be a bunch
Yeah.
more.
We should
There's
do
gonna
that.
be a lot
Let's
more.
do it, man.
It's
I
a
think,
lot of fun.
Shout out to you. I always tell you this. I'm proud of what you're doing, man.
Yeah,
I
man.
know you call us. You know, you said for us to come on the show, but I'm very proud of you sticking with this, sticking it out.
Thank you.
And when you have your 400 show, make sure you call me and Andre to be on 400, and I need to be on 401. So
Okay.
So make sure.
I
you-
got
That's
you.
fine. I'd rather be on 400. I'm totally good with that. Yeah, you could have 401 because I beat him. I'm good with that.
He beat him. But yeah, man. Yeah, man. Keep doing it. I'm
No,
excited for
seriously.
this.
I've seen a lot of people in this business like come and go. I haven't, been in it forever. But what you're doing and what I see, you did 100 last
Savage.
month.
Yeah.
Sheesh.
Oh no, 2 months ago.
Sheesh.
We did
Listen
like
to me.
61 last month.
Don't matter.
Listen to me.
Sheesh.
You keep doing what you're doing. You don't even tell us. You got phenomenal leaders
Yeah.
in Spring and Curtis and with Matt and Sheena. You keep doing what you're doing. You're not going to make a name for yourself in Dallas, and you're not going to make a name for yourself in
in the
PHP.
company.
You're going to make a name for yourself in the industry.
Facts.
Like the industry people will know who
Facts.
you are. So just keep doing what you're doing, man. And people need to hear this. What you're doing is important. People need to kind of know, because that's the biggest struggle that we have right now is just people don't have access to this information. So the more you keep doing what you're doing, and the more we can come on here and keep telling our stories and letting people know that, hey, this is real. It's not fake. It's not like I am just a regular dude.
Fact.
I in a million years would never
Nothing
thought I'd
special.
find myself on
Nothing
a freaking
special.
podcast. Nothing, like I'm just a
Nothing
regular
special.
guy. He went to the fire academy. I put the wet stuff on the red stuff. That was it. Like not complicated at all. And now I'm here. I have the ability to pour into people and tell our stories, and hopefully like somebody watching this finds some inspiration. It's like, man, I wonder if I could do that. That's the goal, man. So if we could come back here and help you
Sick.
get the word out there, happy to do it.
Absolutely. There's gonna be a lot more of these, man. I'm super excited for the future because I have a big vision with what we're gonna do with the podcast and everything else. So I want to eventually have like live podcasts, big events, debates on the stage. So I'm excited.
Excited for you, brother.
Appreciate y'all.
Yeah.
Peace.
Whatever.